This is a technique that very rarely gets you a fish like right when it lands. Like oh, and it bit. Got a decent one. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Bash and Bass TV. I'm Justin, and this week is all about the Ned Rig. What's the Ned Rig? This is the Ned Rig. This little itty bitty thing right here. Without the worm on it, the Ned jig is basically this. It's really tiny. They call it, the hook size is a 1. I use a 1/5 ounce weighted jig. It has these little grooves right here that grip onto the worm or the craw, whatever you use, on the inside. There are some that have a wire that point up into the bait when you put it on, but I don't like that because I feel like it tears up the bait a lot more. This one I've had a lot of success with. It works really well. I really like using this one better. What I have on right now is the new Guggen Baits Rattlin' Ned. It has a little rattle on the inside. I don't know if you can hear that rattle in there. Fish can. I threw it a little bit today. Didn't have a whole lot of success, but that's just because it was a bad fishing day. What I've actually been using the most is the Z-Man Finesse TRD 2.75 inches. My favorite colors is the Canada craw. They have a California craw, and then they have this stuff called the Deal. I also use these craws from them. And if you look, it has kind of a bluish silver hue to it. So it kind of looks like a shad. They also have these things called the ticklers that look kind of like mini squid. They have like 4 appendages that kind of like little fingers that float. These do really well as well. So whenever I'm having a slow time with the chatterbaits, the crankbaits, jigs, any of that, I throw on the Ned Rig and I have a lot of success. It's the finesse style, very slow. You just drag it along the ground, little twitches, little pops, and then you let it sit for like 5 or 10 seconds, and then this thing hits. And that's what you got to do with it. I love doing it. I always get the big guys. And also, when you use the Ned Rig, you've got to use a lighter line. I have a 12-pound or 15-pound braid. I can't remember which now, which is pretty light. They recommend putting on a fluorocarbon leader. I haven't done that yet just because I haven't. I still have a lot of success just with using the braid. I think it's thin enough that they don't really see it very well. I use the spinner rod and reel combo. Using a bait caster is just not a good idea. I mean, bait casters are just not meant for this. So check out the catches, check out the fish. I'll be talking about some of the techniques in the videos as well. A few surprises. And then when we're done with those, I have a shopping spree that I went on. I want to go over some of the lures and the baits that I've bought while I was shopping. So you kind of get an idea of how I like to fish, a lot of the lures and stuff that I like to throw. And a few other bonus catches in there as well. So it's not just me talking at you. You'll see some more fish. One's on a jig, and it's actually a pretty cool catch. So enjoy these videos, and I'll be back. Got nibbles, hits. Got him. This one's smaller, but still, it's a fish. There we go. Best thing about the Ned Rigs is they're so easy to take out. I mean, the hook's so small, they just come right out. So, nice little guy. Yeah. Go back, keep eating, get bigger. This is a technique that very rarely gets you a fish like right when it lands. Like oh, and it bit. Got a decent one. That one's even better than the first one. This one might be a 3-pounder. See? Right in the top of the mouth, and then boom, easy out. I'm thinking 3 pounds, at least 3 pounds, if not 3-4, up to 3-4. 3-1, 3 pounds 1 ounce. 3 pounds 1 ounce. Look at the fattiness. Oh my gosh, they're definitely eating today. I think the storm in the distance is doing it. All right, get a little closer, toss her out a little bit so it's deeper. Check the worm, because sometimes when they eat it, when they bite it, the worm twists on the hook. He's got a pretty good number on this one already. The good thing about these is when they bite it, it releases the salt that's impregnated in the soil. When I stretch it out, you can see the salt kind of on top. I don't know if you can see it with this camera or not, but it's there, I promise. I'm gonna try bouncing it a little bit. Oh wow, look at that. That was cool. Oh, some hit. That was a fish hit. Got him. Keep him up, keep him up. You don't want him going to that drain, he'll snap your line. That's a fighter. There we go. First one with this little tickler. 2.25 pounds. Nice. 2 pounds, 5 ounces. Beautiful fish. All right, let's see if we can get a cool release on him. Yep, there she goes. Got one. He just hit and started running with it. All right, let's get 2 pounds. Let go of my thumb, dude. 6 ounces. And goodbye to you too. Oh, got a hit. Got him. He's running at me now. There we go. £1 pound, 10 ounces. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed those videos. You learned something cool about Ned Rig fishing. Caught a ton of fish with it. I did catch 38 fish in 2 hours once. I didn't bring my camera and I regret it to this day. It's one of my biggest YouTube regrets because I could have done like a 3-part series on it and it would have been amazing. And they were all huge, like 2.5 to 4 pounds. So, my bad. So I just kind of went nuts. Bonus checks and YouTube or eBay sales kind of help with that a little bit. So let's check some of this stuff out. First, my go-to baits. These are my absolute favorites. This one right here is the Sexy Shad. I love it. I caught so many fish with this one. I always get the shallow divers because where I fish, they're ponds and they go up and down and they get to be 2 feet deep in some places. These only go down a couple of feet, so it's actually really beneficial. This one is the Orange Belly Craw. My wife actually picked this one out. I've never used it. She says that when I catch fish on this that I have to dedicate them to her, so this is my wife's lure. Next, I kind of went a little nuts with these guys again because they were on sale by buying so many and getting so many free that I went out and bought 5 new chatterbaits. A couple of black and blues. I got the Bayou Craw, which is what that black and orange, yellow, whatever one is. Now I know the name, so I don't mess that up anymore. Green Pumpkin Purple, which I've never used this color before, but it looks really cool. I like that it has like this orangish to it, so I have a really good trailer that I can put on this, and I think it'll work well. And then my first ever Sexy Shad. All right, next up, Missile Jigs. Ike's Mini Flip Jig, designed by Mike Iaconelli, who's kind of a big deal in the fishing world. He did win the Bassmaster Classic, I think in 03. I think that's when it was. Don't quote me on it. He's also killing it on Major League Fishing Tour, which is awesome. I have 2 other ones of these that I already used and tied on. I'm actually going to show you a catch from using these, and we'll be back to talk more about this in a second. There we go. He hit it hard. He choked it. There we go. That's a good 2-pounder. Got you on the jig. That's kind of how you want to see it. Ooh, somebody hooked you below. Yeah, because you see me, I hooked him in the back of the throat. There it is. There you go. When all else fails, throw a jig. That's what they say. 1 pound, 10 ounces, so 1.5 pounds. A little over 1.5 pounds. Caught him on a jig, so that's always fun. And there he goes. All right, so that's a pretty cool catch. I had a lot of fun throwing these around. I caught a few fish on them. I actually prefer these to regular jigs. And the reason why is they're smaller, but they're the same weight. They're dense, which I like a lot better. I fish it just like a Texas rig, so I drag, pop, 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 drag, little pops. The one thing that I also do, and you can't really see it on this, but they always have weed guards, and they're really heavy plastic weed guards. And I actually trim those down to match the point of the hook. So if you have weeds or reeds or whatever, it'll still work. But the longer it is, I feel that it gets in the way of setting the hook. And so I like to cut that down, and it makes setting the hook on the fish a lot easier. No shopping spree would be complete without my Bandito bugs. I bought these mainly for trailers on my chatterbaits. There's this black and green one here, this Okeechobee craw. Basically, it's like a pumpkin on one side and a blue flake on the other. And then, of course, watermelon red flake. If you're in Texas, I don't know about other states, but if you're fishing in Texas, watermelon red flake is the way to go. You don't really need many other colors other than this. Black and blue, black and red, and pumpkin. Anything else, it'll work, but those are like the main colors, is those. So I also had to go out and I got my Yum Dingers, my copperhead, and my watermelon copperhead. These colors just kill the bass. They cannot help biting these. They're probably my favorite colors. And they're the only ones that, like this copperhead color, you can't find something similar to this in other brands. So good on Yum Dingers for having this, because I'm going to keep buying their brand just for this alone. And they don't stay on the shelves long at Field and Stream. It's the only place I can find them is there. And if you see them, buy them, because people are going to figure it out and they're going to start buying these things like crazy. But the one by my house, they're typically pretty much sold out all the time. And last but not least, we got KVD Perfect Plastics, the, what do they call these? The Ocho. The Ocho 5-inch. I've never thrown these. I've never even bought these until now. And if it has KVD's name on it, I'm pretty much going to buy it, because he, again, is one of the best, if not the best fisherman in the game today. And all of his other lures that I've ever bought have served me pretty well. Which is going to segue into a little preview, a little spoiler alert for next video. I'm going to do a Senko / stickworm, whatever you want to call them, challenge. And so every day I'm going to throw a different stickworm. So one day I'll do these, then I'll do Yum Dingers, the actual Senkos from Yamamoto. And then Big Bite Baits. They have a lot of stickworms that I like to use, the trick sticks. Those are the main 4 that I know of. There's other ones that I'm like, Guggen Baits just released one, but I'm not going to pay $7. Guggen Baits released one recently. I'm just not going to buy one for $7 to do this challenge quite yet. I'll probably do my own like product review on those later. But for this challenge, I'm going to do 1 per day, and I'm only going to fish that bait for an entire day, however many times I go fishing that day. And then at the end of the week, I'll get my review and kind of decide which one I think is the best. Okay, that's enough of me talking, me gabbing. I hope you guys enjoyed the videos, enjoyed the catches. I hope you learned something. Got an insight of how I like to fish, some of the baits that I like throwing. What I bought here today, if these were the only things I threw all year, I would still have a very successful year. Now there's other stuff that I do like to use, whopper ploppers and buzz baits are okay. But this is my go-to stuff. If I'm having a rough day, these are the number 1 through 5 baits that I'll be throwing to try and get fish. Go out, get a Ned Rig, try it. It'll be amazing what you can do with this. You'll have so much fun with it. And until next time, keep on bashing.